Okay, so this is my mower here, DLT 3000 Craftsman, 18.5 horsepower, if it matters. So here's what I got going on here. I have picked a fight with the brakes, and it's been a long fight. I'll tell you what happened. I took it off. This was just about rusted on. I used some PB Blaster and kicked it a few times, and had a hammer here with someone else here tapping on the backside to get it off so we wouldn't break the shaft out of here. You want to keep a hammer here, the head of a hammer here. Every time they hit, it'll hold the shaft in. I'm going to clean this out. It's still got the keyway in there, if you can see it. Still has the keyway in there. That's crazy. I'm going to have to clean it up real good and put some anti-seize or some type of grease in there. So to take the rim off, first thing you have to do, I jacked it up with the floor jack, and then you're going to have to take this clip off. A good tool for that is a screwdriver, or I used a pair of these here, adjustable head channel locks. Take the washers off, you know, but this is a fight in itself, and I'm gonna wash this out, and I'll put some grease in the end of the rim and put this back on. This will be clean. So on to the brakes. Over here, this is the shaft, okay, the rear wheel. See the rear wheel, and I've got this light over here. All right, I thought it was a good idea first, because I've never done brakes on this before. I was like, well, I will adjust this up the way it's supposed to be. So it was way up here, and it always had play in it. So I took the play out, but here's the thing. This is a 2-inch spring. It needs to be depressed, and when this thing is locked up here, when the brake's locked, this should be more like 1.5 inches. You know, 1.5 inches from one side to another. I did that. That didn't fix the problem. So, okay, take this out of the way. Here's what I did. You can see I've got a broken bolt. I removed this piece here. This is the brake. There's also, on some of these, a brake shoe on the other side. I'm thinking I'm feeling it here. I'm not going to take this off and mess with the brake shoe on the other side. If I did, I would flip it around backwards so I'd get more life out of it, okay? This one here is just the way it was. I'm going to flip it around backwards, but it was mounted here. First thing you have to do, if you're going to remount it, by the way, is put it back on the shaft, and that's how you remount it, okay? But I'm not doing that right now. I'm just showing you this stuff because I got a bolt to fight with. This piece right here is the problem. These were stuck, okay? It was, when this turns, all it does is push back and push, but it's cammed, it's bent in a way that the shaft pushes in 2 pistons into the body of this thing, and you'll see them in a second. They were stuck. Most people's stuck are stuck in. Mine weren't adjusted up so well on that rod like I showed you, so mine were stuck disengaged, and they just wouldn't push in, and this would turn but it wouldn't push them in. So I'm just going to tap this out upside down. Just tap it out like that. Okay, what you have, well, one of the pistons fell out, and that's fine. What you have here is a little brake shoe. That's the worn side. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to use this side now. A backing plate for it that goes on top of these pistons. You can see the ring circle marks where the pistons were. It goes on top of those pistons, and then these pistons that go down in the hole. Now I'm going to clean these up. I haven't cleaned them up yet, but they get a little bit rusty, you know, so that they won't, I'm trying to zoom in on them, so that they won't slide in and out, and mine were stuck, so the brakes didn't work, even though the cam was turning. Alright, so I'm going to clean this up with some, what I have here, just some old 1500 grit sandpaper. You could use 1000 grit, 500 grit, then 1000 grit, or whatever. And I'm going to clean up I'm going to clean these like that, and I'm going to roll it up and clean those out. But I've been using brake parts cleaner. I've been using this right here. just like regular brakes. Okay, so you know, I like this kind here. Everybody's different, but this is the flammable kind. I would recommend using the non-flammable kind, but either way. But I sprayed it on this, and I'm going to take some steel wool or the sandpaper and then steel wool, either way, and go in little circles around that just so it'll grab good. But this, I'll go across this with some sandpaper on this back side a little bit just to rough it up, and cleaned it with brake parts cleaner, cleaned all this with brake parts cleaner, and then I'm going to put some kind of grease in here in those so that they won't get stuck again. But basically this is how it works. If you have both pistons in the hole, well, I'm going to have to locate that one. Yeah, there it is. Okay. If you have both of these pistons in the hole, okay, and then you've got, of course, the metal backing plate in there, and then the brake shoe in there, and you don't need new brake shoes, you just need to fix this problem if it's not moving. When you turn this, I'll show you how it works. When you push it back, it's bent metal, and the bend of the metal pushes those in, and that makes them stick out here and pushes the brake shoe out. It's that simple. And then when this is released, I'll show you that too, the pistons will go back in. So, you know, they're not as clean as they could be. So at least they move now. They weren't moving before. So one more time here, and I'll hold it as still as I can. When this moves, it cams. It's just bent metal, and it pushes them in. Okay, so, all right. Some people say tighten this nut up to make them work. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. You may snug it up a little bit. The problem is these pistons get stuck. So take those out, clean them up. You don't even have to take this off. You can just tap them out the other side, and brake parts cleaner will get them loose. Get you some brake parts cleaner. I sprayed it in there. They fell out. And then when you're done, like I said, I'm gonna clean the inside of those holes out with some steel wool, double-aught gauge steel wool. And then when I'm done, I'm gonna also run steel wool over this, clean up real good with a paper cloth, maybe some WD-40 on it or something like that to get the shavings off. Make sure there's no metal shavings. You want to take the key from the keyway that's in that rim over there. You want to take that key, run it flat across some sandpaper, across some good. This is 1,000, like I said, 1,500 grit, 1,000 grit will work. And then lube it too and put it here. You could use engine assembly lube. You could use anti-seize, but here's the problem that I'm dealing with right now. And they should have used anti-seize on these bolts in the first place, but they didn't. So now I'm going to fight this. And I don't know if I can show that on camera or not, but this is my answer for now until I get until I break it. And then if it breaks, I'm going to use a drill gun that's a drill bit that's a reverse threaded drill bit. I don't need to ease out that way, because if you use a reverse threaded drill bit, it will, they're about $9 for a set of 4, so it will be spinning the opposite way, and it'll catch, and then it'll unscrew it. But I think that'll come out. I think it'll come out with some more of this PB Blaster here, and those locking pliers. So if you're doing brakes, this is your problem right here, and I hope you don't break a bolt like I did, because that bolt over there is different. This is the one that goes in one side. The other one has a collar around it that's made into it, and it's a longer bolt. So I have to find a bolt to even replace that one out of what I've got in my shop, because I don't have time to order it right now. So I hope that helps you out. And then when you put it back on, like I said, put it on this rod first, put it back up here. You're gonna put 2 bolts in it, you know, and then it's gonna basically do its job. When it turns the cam, when it pushes back, it'll hit the brake. So some people say to adjust the brakes with this bolt right here, but if it's not working, that's not your problem. Or if it's stuck, locked up, that's not your problem. This is your problem. So clean this thing up. And then it's kind of like rebuilding a brake caliper. That's it, that's all. Good luck with it. I'm gonna be working on mine for a minute. Like I said, I know I can get this out. I'm actually gonna try it for a second, but I may not be able to hold this camera and do it at the same time. So what I'll do, I'll cut this video. I'll show another one when I'm done. That's it. I'm out.